Well, hello and welcome to all of our gold viewers here today. I'm Fiona Langsharp, IBCLC Director of Communications and MC at Gold Learning. Well, I get the pleasure of sitting down with a colleague and friend. I've known Helen Ball for a few years now, and it has been my pleasure to see everything that has transpired with you, Helen. It's been great. And I'm excited to say that Helen is back with us here because we have our inaugural Gold Learning Online Infant Sleep Symposium coming up really soon here at Gold Learning. It's actually going to be live on June 17th. That's right, folks. So what that means is that you can come all day that day. We have 5 incredible speakers who are going to be presenting on different topics, and you'll be able to actually listen and learn alongside your other colleagues. But more importantly, you'll be able to check in with Helen as she'll be doing a live Q&A that day as well with myself. And so all of those nagging questions that you've had, she's going to be with us here live. So it's going to be fantastic. So welcome back to Gold, Helen. It's great to have you here.
Oh, thank you very much. It's great to be here.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And I know over the years, I know you've been at Gold with different updates and things happening. And again, I feel like there's been another shift in what's been happening around the world, which is actually really exciting for me because when I think about what folks really need to know, this is a plight that we've been talking about for a long time: infant sleep,
Hmm.
how to get the information out there, how inaccurate. Oh my goodness, we could have a whole hour on that and more about the information that still doesn't get out there that's appropriate. So we want to be sure that we're always getting evidence-based researched information to all
Hmm.
of our parents and of course to professionals because they're the voices when they're meeting with those parents as well. So why don't you start off by telling us what's been happening in your neck of the woods? Tell us about your website, what's changed, and what's been updated there.
Okay. Well, the exciting news for us was that about a year and a half ago, we moved our physical location. So our sleep lab was based on one of Durham's satellite campuses for about 18 years. And then we moved into the center of Durham, our own building,
Wow.
which allowed us to expand. So we now have our sleep lab upstairs and we have our offices and our meeting rooms downstairs. So we renamed ourselves from the Parent Infant Sleep Lab to the Durham Infancy and Sleep Center. And as part of that whole rebranding exercise, we also rebranded our website, which people might remember was called ISIS, which we created in 2012 before there was any other ISIS out there that people were familiar with, which
Right.
stood for the Infant Sleep Information Source. And we rebranded it to BASIS, the Baby Sleep Information Source. So we have a new website, all the same kind of information that we'd previously provided,
Mhm.
but rebranded with a new look and a new name.
Yeah, and what's the URL for that? So how do people find you there, Helen?
So you find us at www.basisonline.org.uk.
Perfect. That's great. So everyone needs to go check that out. Yeah, the information, I mean, it's a very slick and very nice website, I have to say, and easy to find. I use it all the time when I'm teaching, by the way. I think it's really important for our students always to get those. So our doula students and lactation students, I know that it's a resource that you can use over and over again for professionals and for parents. So it has a couple of, really great things on there as well. Just diving back into your website a little more, there's been some other things that you've been creating as well. I see you've got some webinars on there as well now. Who are they for, and what can you do with them?
Well, for quite a long time, we were being asked to go and do training sessions around the country, usually for NHS trusts.
Hmm.
We work quite closely with UNICEF Baby Friendly Initiative in the UK, and they recommended to different trusts if their staff seemed to need an update on kind of bed sharing information or safe sleep or the relationship between breastfeeding and sleep, that kind of
Right.
thing, that they get us in to come and do a training session. But what happened was we were a bit of a victim of our own success, and we were traipsing up and down and all around the country far too much to the detriment of actually being able to do any research, which is our
Right.
primary reason for existence as
Hmm.
academics. So we decided that we had to really try and make this a more efficient process. So we've converted our in-person training courses into online webinars now. So we have different packages that people can sign up to do our training, and it makes it all a lot easier.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess right now, in the light of COVID, it's even more convenient for folks as they're seeking out ways to keep updated and get information online as well. So, a great resource all around. That's fantastic. Thank
Absolutely.
you for that. Yeah, yeah. Okay, I want to go back to your lab again. So, okay, so you had a big move about a year and a half ago. What does it mean that you can accomplish now with that move? Has there been any changes there, in what you're doing and how you're moving forward with your research there?
So we have been, well, yes. So COVID has kind of like put a big damper on some of what we're able to do. But what we were doing
Hmm.
prior to lockdown in the UK was a nice in-lab study where we were comparing longitudinally the sleep of breastfeeding mums, formula feeding mums, and non-mums who were coming in and kind of being monitored every month and then doing actigraphy at home so that we could get a sense of how things changed over time
Right.
for women of the same age, whether they were mothers or non-mothers, and what by feeding type. Unfortunately, we got through about halfway through most of our participants. We were trying to follow them from 2 months up to 6 months, and then
Hmm.
lockdown happened. So we've had
Ah,
to put all of that on hold. And of course, those babies are now going to be too old to pick up by
right,
the
to pick up
time
again.
exactly because the university is completely closed at the moment.
Right, right,
Um,
right.
we're continuing with the actigraphy, and so my postgraduate student Fran is spending her life mailing ActiWatches to people up and down the country so that they can keep putting them on their babies and putting them on themselves and then sending them back to her so she can download the data and send them out again. So we're
Wow.
trying as best we can to kind of keep some of the data collection going, but yeah, it's
Yeah,
been a lot frustrating, I shall say.
I can imagine. Yeah, I was just going to ask if, the data that you did collect already, does it still have value? Can you use it anyways, those types of things? But it sounds like you're still trying to keep things going even at a minimal
Mhm.
level as well.
Yeah, we'll make the best out of it that we can because it's not it's unethical to collect data from people and then not use it for anything. So
Right.
we'll do our best to get something useful out of it, but it isn't ending up being the study that we'd originally hoped that it was going to be.
All right. Well, let's hope that for your sake and our sake internationally, we can continue, safely moving forward here in a speedily manner. It's hard to say that, right? It's like I want
Yeah.
to keep moving forward, but it needs to be in a safe manner as well. So
Mhm,
we'll
mhm.
hope that you can get back to that research too. I've also spoken to a few other folks recently who are just in research and how frustrating it is for them to have to put these projects that are just sort of taking off, in
Mhm.
certain
Yeah.
respects and put them on hold for sure. Absolutely. All right. Well, I wanted to dive into the reason that you're back here at Gold at our
Mhm,
Infant Sleep Symposium. Quick reminder for folks if you're looking for the information for this presentation and all the others on June 17th, you need to go to our website at goldlearning.com and you can register today to be part of that live event. And also, if you can't come on the day or can only come part of the day, of course, you'll be able to listen to the recordings as well and be part of our forums. So, the title, Helen, of your presentation is Babies in Boxes, the Hype, the Reality, and the Evidence. It's very catchy, I have to say, because I was like, ooh, this sounds like it's going to be good. And I'm sort of like, where's she going to go with this? What's happening?
mhm, mhm.
But there was a lot that's been put into this as far as research and things. But perhaps give us a few teasers as to what we would expect to see from that on the day.
Okay, so we published at the beginning of this year a paper from a 2-year evaluation that we did of the baby box program that's been, or the baby box schemes, I should say, that have
Hmm.
been running in England. They've been individual schemes that local trusts, local NHS trusts, have developed in partnership with a box provider,
Hmm.
and nobody had evaluated them either from a professional's perspective or from a parent's perspective.
Right.
So that was our goal, was to find out who were they working for? Did they work for the practitioners? Did they work for the parents? Were there costs to delivering these
Yeah.
programs? Were they a good idea, a bad idea? What should people who were thinking about implementing one know? And there's been some tension in the UK around baby boxes, as people might know, because in Scotland they implemented a very different kind of scheme, which was government funded and is boxes that are kind of jam-packed full of high-quality products, and
Mm,
they're given to every baby who's born in Scotland, whereas in England, it's been much more patchy. It depends on where you live, whether you're eligible to get one, and then what's in them is kind of quite variable. And so, yeah, it was an interesting exercise, and we got lots of good feedback from both parents and practitioners. So that's
yeah.
what I'm going to be telling you about.
Well, I mean, I know I've had a little bit of a sneak peek now, and I'm not going to give away too much either because I want folks to come and be ready to learn about this. This, to me, struck me as a very timely, important message. The research just being brand new, I honestly can't believe it when you said that out loud that they hadn't been evaluated. First of all, I mean, that just blows my mind. And there was a lot of conversation that went on, like a year and a half ago, maybe a bit longer, about these boxes. And then
Mhm,
they have sort of dispersed, but they're still out there. I mean, folks are using them everywhere. And so it's really important that we've got, good, information on these, their safety, especially if practitioners like myself are being asked to endorse them or be part of
mhm,
a certain scheme or a program. I need to know what I am endorsing, to a family before, and I need to
mhm.
answer questions if they have it from some other resource. I think that's one of the really key valuable things that I want to know more about for sure. Have you been asked these questions in the past, Helen, from practitioners?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And because I serve on the board of the International
Hmm.
Society for the Prevention and Study of Infant Deaths, that's one of the things that has kind of come up as an international issue because
Mm,
not only are they in kind of England and the States and Canada, etc., but they're increasingly being pushed in more developing country settings,
right.
um, which we I think it's really important for people to understand how they work,
Hmm.
um, what the benefits might be, and what the downsides of them might be before
Yeah.
people kind of jump on the bandwagon just because they're something that might be being used in Northern Europe or the
Sure.
States.
Yeah, I think one of the things that, it's all it was sold to me as well, in the sense that it was that this could be a great value to the family. So I was sort of taken down that path of this would be a great mentorship. You'd have opportunity to connect with more people, which all sounds really, really good. So I think the sales pitch behind them is really good. The fact that, potentially there's great products for a person. I mean, if someone told me that, I was like, oh, that's really nice.
You can get all of that for
However,
free.
yeah, exactly. And so, and then looking at the education they might provide, but it's just the top layer. I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, wait a second. There's some layers to this. We need to peel them back, take a really good deep dive. And so I think that's what you're going to do is you're going to take as a
Yeah,
deep dive
exactly.
into this topic, have a look at the evidence, look at some of the research, and then start making some start to look at some decision makings that we can make on our own as professionals after you've sort of laid out all that information,
Hmm. Well, in our article, we came up with 16 recommendations for things
right?
that you might want to think about
Ooh,
if you're embarking on one of these schemes. So
yeah,
hopefully that's going to be useful to people who haven't had the
perfect.
time to kind of, delve into this as much as we have.
Yeah. Yeah. So this topic itself applies to everyone and anyone that has contact with parents. So whether you're a doula, a childbirth educator, lactation consultant, nurse, physician, midwife, everyone who is involved with parents should know about this, in order to make good decision or support decision making with our families, because often they're really lost when it comes to, these types of things as well. There's so much going on, and products can look very dazzling, right?
Hmm.
So we want to
Hmm.
be sure, we get the right information to them and into their hands, definitely.
And I think the lessons that we've learned from this particular instance of a product probably can be extrapolated to other things, new schemes
Hmm.
that come along in the future. Might
Yeah,
help us think a bit more critically about
yeah.
whether they're a good or bad thing to be getting involved in.
Sure. Yeah. No, absolutely. I think that's one of the most important thing. We've been talking a lot about critical thinking here at Gold Learning and how we need to evaluate practice and all those types of things. So I'm excited, and I'm glad that you're here. And boy, this is timely, sort of hot off the press information. So it's going to be great for all of us to sit down with you and take some time and look at this from a critical lens. Well, thank you. It's been great.
Well,
Just I'm like, oh, it's happening, it's right around the corner, and we're going to spend a whole day with each other sort of talking about these different subjects and at our Gold Learning Infant Sleep Symposium. So thank you once again for joining us here at Gold Learning, Helen.
you're really welcome.
Yeah.
Look forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as I mentioned, we've got an incredible day lined up for everyone here at Gold Learning. So don't forget to join us. If you've got questions now, you want to talk about sleep, infant sleep, baby boxes, all those types of things, you can actually put comments in down below. And we'll be checking in with you prior to the event coming up right around the corner. And we look forward to having those conversations with you now and, of course, on the day as well. Well, thank you again to Helen Ball for being with us here today. And of course, to all of our gold viewers. Bye bye for now, everyone.
Bye bye.